Can you feel it, faithful? That electric hum in the air, the whisper of a blockbuster move that could send shockwaves across the NFL, redefining the landscape of the NFC and perhaps the entire league? Or is it just a tantalizing mirage, a dream too good to be true, a fleeting fantasy conjured by the relentless churn of the trade rumor mill? For a team like the San Francisco 49ers, already off to a blistering 3-1 start despite navigating early season challenges without their starting quarterback, the idea of adding an all-pro talent isn't just a pipe dream. It's a tantalizing possibility that could elevate an already formidable contender into an unstoppable force. Welcome, 49ers faithful, to a special edition of Niner Nation Now, where we're diving deep into the exhilarating high-stakes world of NFL trade speculation. I'm your host, Fabiano, and today we're dissecting the whispers, the reports, and the tantalizing prospect of an all-pro edge rusher landing in the Bay Area. We all know General Manager John Lynch isn't one to shy away from a bold move. Remember the seismic acquisition of Christian McCaffrey? That wasn't just a trade. It was a declaration, a statement of intent that reverberated across the league. Now, with the trade deadline looming after Week 9, the question isn't if Lynch will be aggressive, but who he might target to sharpen an already lethal roster. The name on everyone's lips, the one sparking this wildfire of speculation, is Trey Hendrickson, the Cincinnati Bengals' ferocious edge rusher. Imagine, if you will, the sheer terror he could unleash alongside Nick Bosa. But before we get swept away by the sheer excitement of such a prospect, we need to peel back the layers, understand the intricate dance of NFL economics, team dynamics, and the precarious position of a Bengals team grappling with a season-altering injury to their superstar quarterback. This isn't just about a player. It's about a strategic gamble, a potential power play that could define the Super Bowl aspirations of one team and the rebuilding efforts of another. So, buckle up, Niner fans, because we're about to explore a scenario that could change everything. The NFL trade deadline is a crucible of ambition and desperation, a moment when contenders sharpen their swords and struggling teams begin to dismantle for the future. For the San Francisco 49ers, a team that consistently finds itself in the contender category, this period is less about desperation and more about optimization. Even with Brock Purdy sidelined for 2 games, the 49ers have roared out of the gate with a commanding 3-1 record, showcasing their depth, resilience, and the genius of their coaching staff. But as we've learned from the John Lynch era, good enough is never truly good enough. There's always an appetite for greatness, a relentless pursuit of that one missing piece that could tip the scales towards a Lombardi trophy. Enter the name that has set the rumor mill ablaze, Trey Hendrickson. The idea, recently floated by Sports Illustrated's Albert Breer, is more than just idle chatter. It's a strategic proposition that makes a chilling amount of sense for the 49ers. Hendrickson isn't just a good player. He's an all-pro talent, a relentless pass rusher who led the NFL with a staggering 17.5 sacks just a season ago. His motor never stops, his technique is refined, and his impact on opposing offenses is immediate and devastating. The thought of pairing such a force with the reigning Defensive Player of the Year, Nick Bosa, is enough to send shivers down the spines of opposing quarterbacks and offensive coordinators across the league. Breer's analysis, however, comes with a crucial caveat, a condition that hinges entirely on the fortunes of Hendrickson's current team, the Cincinnati Bengals. He posited, that said, if the team is 2-7 at the deadline, then I think a guy like Hendrickson could and logically should be on the block. In that case, I could see the 49ers taking a swing. Provided that their next month goes well, the schedule is pretty manageable. This isn't a done deal, it's a calculated projection, a strategic chess move waiting for the right pieces to fall into place. But the very notion of such a talent becoming available, and the 49ers being in a prime position to pounce, is enough to ignite a firestorm of excitement and anticipation among the faithful. The potential availability of a player like Trey Hendrickson is rarely a reflection of his own performance. Rather, it's often a symptom of a team in distress. And, unfortunately for the Cincinnati Bengals, their season has taken a dramatic, disheartening turn. Currently sitting at a precarious 2-2, their situation is far more dire than the record suggests. The heart and soul of their offense, superstar quarterback Joe Burrow, is sidelined with a significant injury, not expected back until mid-December at the earliest. This isn't just a setback, it's a season-altering blow that has cast a long, dark shadow over their Super Bowl aspirations. With backup Jake Browning at the helm, the Bengals have already stumbled, dropping 2 consecutive games. The offense, once a high-flying, explosive unit, has looked anemic, struggling to find rhythm and consistency. If this downward spiral continues, if the losses continue to mount and their playoff hopes dwindle into oblivion, then the logical, albeit painful, decision for the Bengals front office would be to pivot, to shift from a win-now mentality to a retool for the future strategy. And in that scenario, a valuable asset like Trey Hendrickson, who could command significant draft capital, becomes an incredibly attractive trade chip. Imagine the emotional toll on a locker room. A team that was just in the Super Bowl 2 seasons ago, now facing the grim reality of a lost season. The motivation to compete, to push through the grind, can wane when the ultimate prize seems out of reach. For the Bengals, trading Hendrickson wouldn't be an admission of defeat, but a pragmatic move to salvage value from a season gone awry. It would be a difficult decision, undoubtedly given his immense contributions, but one that could provide the necessary draft picks to bolster their roster for Burrow's eventual return. The fate of Trey Hendrickson, therefore, is inextricably linked to the fortunes or misfortunes of the Cincinnati Bengals. Trey Hendrickson's potential availability isn't just a hypothetical scenario, it's rooted in a very real history of discontent. This past offseason, the All-Pro edge rusher made headlines when he formally requested a trade from the Bengals. This wasn't a quiet whisper. It was a public declaration, a clear indication that he was unhappy with his contract situation and perhaps his long-term future with the team. At the time, Hendrickson was coming off a phenomenal season where he led the entire NFL in sacks, showcasing his elite ability to disrupt opposing backfields. The Bengals, recognizing his immense value and the critical role he played in their defense, responded by pony-eyeing up and signing him to a 1-year, $29 million contract. This was a significant investment, a move designed to appease their star pass rusher and keep him in the fold for at least another season. However, that contract, while lucrative for 2025, does not extend beyond the current year. Hendrickson is set to become an unrestricted free agent at the end of the season. This is the crucial piece of the puzzle, the leverage point that makes a trade not just possible, but potentially inevitable if the Bengals season continues its downward trajectory. From Cincinnati's perspective, the calculus is stark. Do they risk losing an all-pro talent for absolutely nothing in free agency, or do they proactively seek to acquire valuable draft picks and/or players in return? The latter, especially for a team facing a lost season and a long-term rebuild around a recovering quarterback, becomes an increasingly attractive option. Hendrickson's previous trade request establishes a clear precedent for his willingness to seek new opportunities, and his impending free agency provides the perfect window for the Bengals to maximize their return. This isn't just about a player's performance. It's about the cold, hard realities of NFL contract management and the strategic decisions teams must make when faced with a crossroads. Now let's shift our focus to the potential landing spot, the team that could transform Trey Hendrickson from a disgruntled star on a struggling team into a key component of a Super Bowl contender, the San Francisco 49ers. Imagine the sheer, unadulterated terror that Hendrickson could unleash alongside Nick Bosa. The 49ers defense is already a suffocating, dominant unit, consistently ranking among the league's elite. But adding Hendrickson wouldn't just make them better, it would make them historically great. Picture this. Bosa, with his unparalleled bend and power coming off one edge, and Hendrickson, with his relentless motor and array of pass rush moves, screaming off the other. Opposing offensive lines would be forced to pick their poison, unable to double-team both elite rushers effectively. This would create one-on-one opportunities across the defensive line, freeing up other talented players like Javon Hargrave and Arik Armstead to wreak havoc in the interior. The ripple effect would be profound, leading to more hurried throws, more sacks, more turnovers, and ultimately more wins. Furthermore, a trade to the 49ers would offer a strategic advantage for the Bengals. As the report noted, not only would he help elevate a defense that already features Nick Bosa, the Bengals would sleep better by sending him to the NFC rather than competing directly with him in the AFC. This is a critical, often overlooked aspect of interconference trades. The Bengals would be loath to send an elite pass rusher to a direct AFC rival, someone they might have to face in the playoffs. Sending him to the NFC, particularly to a team like the 49ers, mitigates that risk, allowing them to gain valuable assets without directly strengthening a conference foe. For the 49ers, this isn't just about acquiring talent. It's about acquiring a game wrecker who fits seamlessly into their defensive philosophy and could be the final piece of a championship puzzle. The NFL trade deadline is a game of chicken, a delicate balance of patience and aggression. For the 49ers, the timing of a potential move for Trey Hendrickson is paramount, and it's heavily influenced by the conditions laid out by Albert Breer. The first and most critical condition is the Bengals' record. If they are indeed 2-7 at the deadline, it signals a season in freefall, making Hendrickson's departure not just logical, but almost inevitable. This threshold is key. It's the point at which the Bengals would likely shift their focus from salvaging the season to maximizing future assets. The second condition pertains to the 49ers' own performance. Provided that their next month goes well, the schedule is pretty manageable. This is a testament to John Lynch's meticulous approach. He won't make a blockbuster move if the team itself is struggling or if there are internal issues that need addressing. The 49ers need to continue their strong play, solidify their position as a top contender, and demonstrate that they are indeed just one piece away from true dominance. Their upcoming schedule, described as pretty manageable, offers an opportunity to do just that, building momentum and confidence heading into the deadline. The trade deadline itself, arriving after Week 9 on a Tuesday, provides ample time for both teams to assess their situations. For the 49ers, it's a window to identify any lingering weaknesses, particularly on the defensive line, and to gauge the market for potential upgrades. For the Bengals, it's a period to evaluate Browning's performance, monitor Burrow's recovery, and make a definitive decision on the direction of their season. This isn't a snap judgment. It's a calculated, strategic process that involves countless hours of scouting, negotiation, and risk assessment. The dance between these two franchises, driven by their respective circumstances, will be one of the most intriguing storylines leading up to the deadline. Beyond the on-field impact, any potential trade for Trey Hendrickson carries significant financial and future implications for both the 49ers and the Bengals. For Cincinnati, the decision is a pragmatic one. Do they risk losing an All-Pro talent for nothing when he hits free agency at the end of the season, or do they extract valuable compensation now? Given their current situation, the latter seems like the more responsible long-term approach. Acquiring draft picks, especially high-value ones, would allow them to replenish their roster, address other areas of need, and build a stronger foundation around Joe Burrow for future seasons. It's a tough pill to swallow, but sometimes strategic retreat is necessary for future victory. For the San Francisco 49ers, the gamble is equally high stakes. Acquiring Hendrickson would likely mean giving up significant draft capital, potentially a first or second-round pick, depending on the market and his performance leading up to the deadline. Furthermore, they would be acquiring him as a rental for the remainder of the 2025 season, knowing he's set to become a free agent. This means they would either need to negotiate a long-term extension immediately upon acquiring him, or risk losing him after a single playoff run. The financial commitment for a long-term deal would be substantial, likely in the range of $20+ million per year, given his All-Pro status and the escalating market for elite pass rushers. John Lynch and the 49ers front office would need to carefully weigh the immediate impact of Hendrickson's presence against the long-term cap implications and the draft capital surrendered. Is 1 year of an elite pass rusher worth a high draft pick and a potential massive contract extension? For a team with Super Bowl aspirations, the answer is often a resounding yes. This isn't just about winning a few more games. It's about securing a championship, and sometimes that requires making bold, expensive moves. The Hendrickson trade, if it materializes, would be a testament to the 49ers' all-in mentality. So there you have it, faithful. The tantalizing prospect of Trey Hendrickson, an all-pro force of nature, potentially donning the red and gold. This isn't just a trade rumor. It's a strategic narrative unfolding before our very eyes, driven by the contrasting fortunes of two NFL franchises. For the Cincinnati Bengals, a season derailed by injury could force a painful but pragmatic decision to trade a superstar for future assets. For the San Francisco 49ers, a team already brimming with talent and Super Bowl aspirations, it represents a chance to add the final, devastating piece to an already dominant defense, transforming them from contenders into a truly historic juggernaut. The conditions are clear: a Bengals season in freefall and a continued surge from the 49ers. If these dominoes fall into place, John Lynch, the architect of blockbuster moves, will undoubtedly be ready to pounce. The thought of Nick Bosa and Trey Hendrickson terrorizing opposing quarterbacks is enough to send shivers of excitement through any Niner fan. This isn't just about winning games. It's about making a statement, about cementing a legacy, and about chasing that elusive Lombardi trophy with every ounce of strategic aggression possible. The next few weeks will be a thrilling watch as the NFL's trade deadline approaches, holding the potential for a move that could reshape the entire league. All right, Niner Nation, it's time for your voice to be heard. What do you think about the possibility of Trey Hendrickson joining the San Francisco 49ers? Is this the blockbuster move John Lynch needs to make to secure a Super Bowl? Or do you think the price would be too high and the team should focus on other areas? Let us know your thoughts, your excitement, your concerns, and your strategic insights in the comment section below. Do you believe the Bengals will actually trade him? And what would you be willing to give up for an all-pro talent like Hendrickson? Drop your opinions, defend your stance, and let's keep this passionate discussion going. That's all for this special edition of Niner Nation Now. If you loved this deep dive into the trade rumors, make sure to hit that like button. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel to stay on top of all the latest 49ers news and analysis. Until next time, stay faithful and go Niners!